This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information and to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read and recorded by Betsy Bush. Marquette, Michigan, December 2006. The Spinster Book by Myrtle Reed. Chapter 3. The Philosophy of Love. The Prevailing Theme. A modern novelist has greatly lamented because the prevailing theme of fiction is love. Every story is a love story, every romance finds its inspiration in the heart, and even the musty tomes of history are beset by the little blind god. One or two men have dared to write books from which women have been excluded as rigorously as from the Chinese stage, but the world of readers has not loudly clamored for more of the same sort. A story of adventure loses none of its interest if there is some fair damsel to be rescued from various thrilling situations. The realists contend with a single isolated fact should not be dwelt upon in the exclusion of all other interests, that love plays but a small part in the life of the average man or woman, and that it is unreasonable to expand it to the uttermost limits of art. Strangely enough, the realists are all men. If a woman ventures to write a book which may fitly be classed under the head of realism, the critics charitably unite upon insanity as the cause of it and lament the lost womanliness of a decadent generation. If realism were actually real, we should have no time for books and pictures. Our days and nights would be spent in reclaiming the people in the slums. There would be a visible increase in the church fare, where we spend more than we can afford for things we do not want, in order to please people whom we do not like, and to help heathen who are happier than we are. The root of all good. The love of money is said to be the root of all evil, but love itself is the root of all good, for it is the very foundation of the social structure. The universal race for the elusive shilling, which is commonly considered selfish, is based upon love. Money will buy fine houses, but who would wish to live in a mansion alone? Fast horses, yachts, private cars, and the feasts of Lucullus are not to be enjoyed in solitude. They must be shared. Buying jewels and costly raiment is the purest philanthropy, for it gives pleasure to others. Sapphires and real lace depreciate rapidly in the cloister or the desert. The envy which luxury sometimes creates is also altruistic in character, for in its last analysis it is the wish to give pleasure to others in the same degree as the envied fortunately may. Nothing is happiness which is not shared by at least one other, and nothing is truly sorrow unless it is borne absolutely alone. Love. Love, the delight and the torment of the world, the despair of philosophers and sages, the rapture of poets, the confusion of cynics, and the warrior's defeat. Love, the bread and the wine of life, the hunger and the thirst, the hurt and the healing, the only wound which is cured by another, the guest who comes like a thief in the night, the eternal question which is its own answer, the thing which has no beginning and no end. The very blindness of it is divine, for it sees no imperfections, takes no reck of faults, and concerns itself only with the hidden beauty of the soul. It is unselfishness, yet it tolerates no rival, and demands all for itself. It is belief, and yet it doubts. It is hope, and it is also misgiving. It is trust and distrust, the strongest temptation and the power to withstand it. Woman's need and man's dream. It is his enemy and his best friend, her weakness and her strength, the roses and the thorns. Woman's love affairs begin in her infancy, with some childish play at sweethearts, and a cavalier in dresses for her hero. It may be a matter of affinity in later years, or, as the more prosaic Buckle suggests, dependent upon the price of corn, but at first it is certainly a question of propinquity. Through the kindergarten and the multiplication table, The pretty game goes on. Before she is 13 she decides to marry, and selects an awkward boy, a little older, for the happy man. She cherishes him in her secret heart, and it does not matter in the least if she does not know him well enough to speak to him, for the good fairies who preside over earthly destinies will undoubtedly lead the prince to become formally acquainted at the proper time. The self-conscious period. Later, the self-conscious period approaches, and Mademoiselle becomes solicitous as to ribbons and personal adornment. She pleads earnestly for long gowns, and the first one is never satisfying unless it drags. If she can do her hair in a twist just like mamma's, and see the adored one pass the house while she sits at the window with sewing or book, she feels actually grown up. When she begins to read novels, her schoolmates, for the time being, are cast aside, because none of them are in the least like the lovers who stalk through the highly colored pages of the books she likes best. The hero is usually tall and dark, with a melancholy cast of countenance, and there are fascinating hints of some secret sorrow. The watchful maternal parent is apt to confiscate these interesting volumes, but there are always school desks and safe places in the neighborhood of pillows, and a candle does not throw its beam too far. The books in which the love scenes are most violent possess unfading charm. A hero who says "darling" every time he opens his finely chiseled mouth is very near perfection. That fondness lasts well into the after years, for "darling" is, above all others, the favorite term of endearment with a woman. Were it not for the stern parents and wholesome laws as to age, girls might more often marry their first loves. It is difficult to conjecture what the state of civilization might be if it were common for people to marry their first loves, regardless of age, color, or previous condition of servitude. Age and color. Age and color are all important factors with Mademoiselle. She would not possibly love a boy 3 weeks younger than herself, and if her eyes are blue and her hair light, no blondes need apply. There is a curious delusion, fostered by phrenologists and other amiable students of temperament, to the effect that a brunette must infallibly fall in love with a blonde and vice versa. What dire misfortune may result if this rule is not followed can be only surmised, for the phrenologists do not know. Still, the majority of men are dark, and it is said they do not marry as readily as of yore. Is this the secret of the widespread havoc made by peroxide of hydrogen? The lurid fiction fever soon runs its course with Mademoiselle. If she is let alone, and she turns her attention once more to her schoolmates, she has at least a dozen serious attacks before she is 20, and at that ripe age she is often a little blasée. The pastime and the dream. But the day soon comes when the pretty play is over, and the soft eyes widen with fear. She passes the dividing line between childhood and womanhood, when she first realizes that her pastime and her dream have forged chains around her inmost soul. This, then, is what life holds for her. It is ecstasy or torture, and for this very thing she was made. Some man exists whom she will follow to the end of the world, right royally if she may, but on her knees if she must. The burning sands of the desert will be as soft grass as he walks beside her. His voice will make her forget her thirst, and his touch upon her arm will change her weariness into peace. When he beckons, she must answer. When he says come, she must not stay. She must be all things to him, friend, comrade, sweetheart, wife. When the infinite meaning of her dream slowly dawns upon her, is it strange that she trembles and grows pale? Soon or late it comes to all. Sometimes there is terror at the sudden meeting, and love often comes in the guise of a friend. But always it brings joy, which is sorrow, and pain, which is happiness, gladness, which is never content. A woman wants a man to love her in the way she loves him. A man wants a woman to love him in the way he loves her, and because the thing is impossible, neither is satisfied. The strongest passion. Man's emotion is far stronger than woman's.